Okay, so we've got a shepherd's pie for you next. Shepherd's pie, it's one of those great sort of warming dishes, comfort food, nice on that cooler winter day. So I'm going to start off by making our base mixture. We're going to be using lentils and vegetables. So I'll just turn a pot onto the heat. Give a touch of grapeseed oil. I'm going to start off by gently sauteing a couple of carrots. And this is the sort of dish you can use any vegetables you've got at home in the fridge. Anything that's sitting there needs to be used up. Capsicum's great in here. Celery you can use. Today I'm just going to stick with carrots, a little pumpkin, some green beans, tomatoes and some fresh herbs. So into the oil, I'll just give a slight pinch of asphodel. And our carrots. And I've got a half a chilli here. This isn't a very spicy chilli, it's more of a sweet one like a paprika. Add into the pot. So I'm using brown lentils in this dish. Once again, like the vegetables, you can use almost any type of lentil that you've got around. I have soaked these for about 3 hours. And soaking lentils is really important, not just for the cooking time, but also for the digestion. So pumpkin I'm just going to cut into cubes. Into the pot. And give that a little gentle stir. So we'll be adding the green beans and the corn at the later stage, because they're not needing so long to cook. So in the meantime, I've peeled and chopped my potatoes and kumara, and I've cut them up into medium-sized pieces. So we're going to get those onto the boil for our topping. We'll turn those onto the heat. Always good to add a little salt in when you're boiling the potato. The veggies are sauteing down nicely. So I'm going to add my ground paprika now. Paprika is going to add a lot of richness and sort of that nice colour in with the sauce. Using about 1.5 tablespoons. Just give that a quick stir. Automatically it'll dry the pan out and coat the vegetables. So you don't want to cook it for too long at this point, otherwise it'll start to burn a little and take on a bitter taste. So in here we're going to add some vegetable stock. If you don't have vegetable stock, you can use water. And if you want to know how to make the vegetable stock, you just have a look on our section on the vegetable stock part. So I'm just going to add about 750-800 mils of that for the moment. And I have 1 cup of lentils, brown lentils. I'm just going to strain those off. They've soaked up quite a large amount of water. And into the pot. So it can be on a high heat now, coming up to the boil. To here I'm going to add 3 bay leaves. I'll remove them before the end, but that'll just help to give a bit more flavour in there. So in the meantime, we'll get our tomatoes ready to go in. So let's remove the core. These can be roughly chopped up as they're going to break down into the sauce. This is a great sort of dish to be sharing with your family or friends, and it's a little bit of preparation to it, but once you've got it sort of ready to go, you can always leave it in the oven to keep warm. It's one of those sort of dishes that's pretty much a complete meal in itself, served with a little bit of salad. It's great. We'll pop our tomatoes in. At the same time, we'll get our corn and beans ready to go. Beans, I've cut the tails off them already. And the last thing we need to prepare is our herbs. Herbs, you can be using any of the Italian herbs at all you've got. I've got just a bit of sage, rosemary and parsley. But any of these sort of things go great. Oregano is also good. Marjoram, thyme. So now we've got everything pretty much ready to go. It's a bit of a waiting game. If you're going to serve some salad with this dish, you can make your salad or stretch your legs or stand on the head, do some yoga. So basically we'll let the lentils come up the boil. They'll need to simmer for around, because they've been soaked for a couple of hours, they probably only need to cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. Potatoes, same thing, they're just going to come to the boil, simmer till they're cooked, and we'll resume shortly once the cooking process is a little underway. Okay, so as you can see, both our pots are cooking away nicely now. So the thing with the lentil and vegetable base we're using, it's like I said, there's basically no rules. You can use any vegetables you've got, put anything in. The only thing you need to make sure is, one, that the lentils are cooked completely, and two, that you don't want the mixture to be too runny, too watery, otherwise when you put the potato on the top, then the sauce is going to come up over the side. So you can just cook it down until it becomes thicker, or you can always use a little bit of ground oats, like oat flour, just to help to thicken the sauce up slightly. So this is reducing down nicely at the moment. I'm going to add now into here our corns and our beans. Stir those in. Also remove the bay leaves at this point, they will have done their job by now. One, two, three. So just turning that down now. Let those beans and corn cook gently in there. Meantime, we'll check our potatoes. Best way to check a potato if it's cooked is just to stick a small knife in, and potatoes should just run off the edge of the knife without any resistance there. So these can come off the heat. Strain them into a colander. Back into the pot. Mashed potato is one of these things that it can taste so great, or it can taste a bit average. You go to the restaurant, it always tastes fantastic, but it's loaded with cream and butter and all sorts of everything else. So here we're going for a healthier version, but we still want to make it taste good. So instead of the cream, to get that sort of consistency moisture, I'm using some vegetable stock. You can use milk too if you like milk. We'll go for vegetable stock today. And instead of butter, extra virgin olive oil gives a nice sort of richness to it. A little dash of that. Some cracked pepper. Little sea salt. And we'll mash these. That combination of the sweet potato and the regular potato goes quite nicely together, so it gives it that nice colour. If you use too much sweet potato on its own, it doesn't quite give the same sort of texture as a regular mashed potato. just smooth it down with a rubber spatula a few times. Just helps to iron out any of those lumps that might be remaining. Also mix through a few herbs in there. And we'll have a quick taste. Perfect. Okay, and our base mixture. Also we'll add some herbs in. We'll take that off the heat now. And likewise, we'll just give that a quick taste to make sure it's okay. Very good. And just add these seasonings to your temperament and tasting. So, we've got two ideas for serving this one. Firstly, we can do the sort of communal dish, sort of baking dish that you can slip into the oven and the family or friends can share it. Otherwise, you can also do the individual dish option. And just pack that in nicely. There's our option number one. And for option number two, you can just take any small sort of individual bowl size serving dish. Pop it in. Our potato. I'm going to use a piping bag. If you don't have a piping bag, you can always try to make one. Generally a large Ziploc bag is the best thing, just cutting a hole in the corner. Otherwise you can just spoon it on too, it's fine if you're not too concerned. Spooning it on will work just as well. Whereas if you're using a piping bag, the best to only fill it 3/4 full so you can twist the end and hold it there nicely. And then just gently working that on there. I'm just going to wrap my towel around it. Being a thin piping bag, it's moving the heat through quite quickly. You can do any patterns you like here. And we'll just top it up to finish off our individual one. There we have. So at this point, if you're a cheese eater, you can always sprinkle a little bit of cheese on top, slide it into the oven and grill it. Otherwise, just sprinkle some fresh herbs on top and that's good to go as it is. There we have shepherd's pie for the family or just for yourself. Enjoy.